Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of Podcasting with DJ. Now, you've probably clicked on this video and absolutely have no idea what is going on. I will take the next minute or so to actually explain to you what Podcasting with DJ is. Now, you can probably take the first word from the title, which is podcasting, and already get an idea of what we're doing on this show. Podcasting with DJ is pretty much going to be a fortnightly or monthly podcast in which I will talk to you all about the latest aviation news, not just from Australia, but also the entire world. We will also hopefully have special guests from the aviation community on the show at some point. In this episode, we do have a very special guest with over 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. He will be joining us and will be answering a few of our questions. And if you are interested in coming onto the podcast as a special guest to either answer our questions or tell your aviation story, you are more than welcome to. Please leave me a comment in the comment section of this video. I will have a contact email, so if you want to shoot me off an email there just saying, I'm interested in being a special guest, I will get back to you, and from there we can coordinate a schedule where I will most likely need you to record your story through audio, of course, and then send it off to me via email, just like our special guest has done today. From there, I will put it into iMovie and put it all together and make the podcast. So, we will be taking all our aviation news from a wide range of sources. This includes airlive.net, Australian Business Traveller, Australian Aviation, Twitter, Facebook, and just news in general. I will link airlive.net, Australian BT, and probably Australian Aviation all in the description below, so you are more than welcome to go and check out these websites. They are always up to date on the latest aviation news. Airlive.net more so have news from around the world, as they have executive editors, or however you want to call them, placed all around the world, including Dubai, London, America, Melbourne, that's me, Auckland, and so on. Whereas Australian Business Traveller and Australian Aviation more so cover the news in Australia to do with aviation, so new routes, just like the new Perth to London, which we will be talking about a bit later on in this episode. They also cover special liveries, so if a new Qantas Retro Roo has come out, they will cover that and do like a special ceremony, which they'll put on their website. You can always find really, really good content on there to do with the Australian aviation industry. So even if you're from another country, let's say in Europe, and you're just interested in what the Australian aviation scheme is, you can just go onto these websites and get a fair idea already of what it's all about. Again, if you know a website that has really, really good aviation news, you are more than welcome to tell me in the comment section of this video, and I will check it out and maybe get my news also from that website you suggested in the next episode. Anyway, that's pretty much what the podcasting is going to be. So the news, special guests, and maybe in the future I will get a co-host who will be with me every single episode. At this stage, it might be a bit tricky to get two people on at the same time, just because usually our voice will clash. I do not have the editing capabilities to kind of like split the voices and adjust the volume and so on, so it makes it quite difficult to speak to each other if we're going to cut each other off accidentally, of course. So I'm not ruling anything out, so yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to get on to the news of the podcast. Okay, so we'll get on to our first topic for the episode. This will be Qantas announcing non-stop flights with the Boeing 787 from Perth to London. This will commence from March 2018. We're going to take this information from australianbt.com.au, so I will be reading through this and adding my own opinion in every so often. In addition to this 17-hour Perth to London trek, we've heard that Qantas is also eyeing non-stop flights to Paris, Rome, Frankfurt, and possibly Dallas or New York from what I've heard. This will again be on the 787-9. I do not know personally how I would go on a 17-hour flight on a 787-9. I have heard that they are quite efficient, but also they reduce jet lag with the air in the cabin. But still, I think I would much prefer a stopover whether this it's Dubai, Hong Kong, really wherever, just maybe a halfway point in the trip. It's just 17 hours on an aircraft is probably too long. Now, the longest I've done is around 14 and a half hours, and although we were sleeping for a lot of the time, it was still really unpleasant. You just felt like you were never going to get to your destination. We did, of course, but I don't know how a 17-hour flight would do. These Qantas flights will run from Qantas T3 domestic terminal. However, this will be upgraded to cater for international requirements such as immigration and quarantine. This will allow Qantas passengers flying into Perth from other destinations, most likely Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, to enjoy a seamless transfer without having to be shuttled between the domestic and international terminals. Now, I do believe this is a very, very good idea that Perth Airport have come up with. However, again, I'm not sure how all this is going to work. I know that a lot of people will be travelling on it at first because, of course, it's going to be the longest route in the world, I'm pretty sure, and it's connecting Australia to London directly. At the moment, we do have QF9 and QF10, and I'm pretty sure QF1 and QF2, which go from Sydney to London, Melbourne to London, and of course, they have the stopover in Dubai. I did QF9 to QF10, all the way through to London, not just stopping off at Dubai, and I must say, Melbourne to Dubai was full, not a seat was free. However, Dubai to London was probably one of the best flights I've ever been on. Not necessarily because of the service, but it was empty. Quite literally, there was no one on the plane. On the bottom deck, let's say there were 200 seats. I reckon there were about 40 people in total. So we all kind of were it was a very nice environment because it wasn't packed and you weren't couldn't breathe material, that type of feeling when you just feel squashed in with everyone, you can't move. It was quite empty. A lot of people were just walking around. You weren't having to wait for someone to go past. It wasn't very noisy, very quiet. So very, very nice, I would say, at the end of the day. The same could be said for London to Dubai on QF10, which was on the way back. That was even emptier, I would say, about 25 people. I had 4 seats to myself. Pretty much everyone had 4 seats or 3 seats to themselves. No one had to sit, let's say, with 2 other people in a row or 4 other people in a row. So it was very spacious, very nice, and I was expecting Dubai to Melbourne to also be empty, and it was, but it was probably 3/4 full. So I still got 4 seats to myself, so I actually slept for about 10 hours, which I've never really slept on a plane because I've never been anywhere internationally up until that point. So it was really, really good. I wouldn't say comfortable, but it was much better than sitting in an upright position in your normal seat, cramped in, boxed in, and that sort of feeling, it's not very pleasant. Okay, so we're going to continue reading the ausbt.com.au article on it. So, Qantas's new Perth to London Boeing 787 route is tipped to begin in Melbourne, with the Melbourne to Perth leg flown by the same Boeing 787 as bound for London. So I think they're doing a similar type of thing as Melbourne to London via Dubai. I would much prefer going through Dubai. I really hope they keep the QF9, QF10 route, although I really don't think it's likely. But that's just much nicer. Also, it's interesting going to a different airport like Dubai and experiencing what the culture's like inside of the airport, whereas just stopping off at another Australian airport and then straight to London. It's going to be quicker, of course, than going on the A380, but I don't know. I don't think I would fly this route. The Qantas 787-9 has less than half as many seats as the huge double-decker Airbus A380. Pardon me, and it's also got no first-class suites. Now, for businessmen, I don't know how this would go. However, the Dreamliner has a far superior business class, shown above. I will show the picture now of the business class, and almost identical to the Airbus A330 business suite design. You got an extra inch of legroom in economy, and what's promised as an all-new revolutionary premium economy seat. We're going to take a quote now from the CEO, Alan Joyce. This is of Qantas. When Qantas created the Kangaroo route in London in 1947, it took 4 days and 9 stops. Now it will take just 17 hours. So that's a big difference, of course. But I stand by my point. I don't know how I would go on this particular flight. He also continues on to say this is a game-changing route. flown by a game-changing aircraft. Australians have never had a direct link to Europe before, so the opportunity this opens up are huge. I would like to see new routes open to maybe Frankfurt, Rome, and Paris, as I said earlier on, because, well, that would be quite cool. Like, I would fly those ones, maybe not directly to London. I might go with Emirates, Etihad, Qatar, one of the UAE airlines. Very, very good service. Emirates, I know, is one of the best airlines in the world, and everyone that's been on there have had positive comments regarding it. So, Qantas are going to axe the Melbourne to London Airbus A380 flights. Now, we don't really know. However, Joyce wouldn't reveal if pricing for Perth to London service would be the same as the via Dubai flights, or if the passengers would pay a premium for the convenience of a non-stop flight. You'll have until April 2017 when we come out with the pricing structure, Joyce teased Australian Business Traveller, although he maintained the fares would be competitive against other airlines. How Qantas non-stop Perth to London flights will work. The Perth to London Boeing 787 service is expected to carry 150,000 passengers per year. Qantas expects a majority of Australian passengers to come through the eastern capital cities, choosing the Boeing 787 with its smoother ride and jet lag busting technology, and the direct Perth to London route overflying from Sydney or Melbourne via Dubai. Those travellers will fly west on domestic Qantas services from Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide, with Qantas looking at timing our domestic flights through Perth to offer the best connections we can, Joyce says. The passengers will lounge access will cool their heels at the Qantas Business Lounge or the Qantas Club in Terminal 4 until the Boeing 787 flight to London is called. They'll make their way to the newly built T3 International Departures area with customs and border security before boarding the Dreamliner via a special swing gate walkway which can switch between domestic and international modes. After that, it's just a matter of setting in for around 17 hours until they land at London's Heathrow Airport. Qantas hasn't revealed the schedule for this globe-striding flight, but given a 17-hour travel time between Perth and London, a mid-morning departure from Perth, not so easy for eastern state connections, would see arrival in London in the early evening. Conversely, an evening departure from Perth would have the flight land at Heathrow around 5 to 6 a.m. And that concludes our first segment, everyone. This was on Qantas flying non-stop from Perth to London on the Boeing 787-9. Now onto the very, very big surprise of this podcast. I would like to welcome MiJiT HD to the podcast. He has a YouTube channel, which will be linked in the first line of the description below. You're more than welcome to go and check out his channel. He's a big inspiration not only to me, but many, many other YouTubers across the world. He provides spotting, content, model unboxings, and a whole lot more. So welcome, MiJiT. Thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. We're going to take this opportunity while you're here with us to ask you a few questions that's probably on the lips of most aviation people across the world. So we're just going to roll off a couple of questions for you now. How did you find out about aviation?
I have been interested in aviation as far back as I can remember. My passion has grown considerably since then. I guess the main reason why I got into aviation was thanks to my family, my parents and my grandparents. They've been involved in the airline industry, doing being a loadmaster, working customer service, and also engineering as well. Pretty much for Air New Zealand, and before then Teal, as that was the predecessor to Air New Zealand, so that goes back quite a long way, pre-65. But that's where my passion stems from, and I'm completely grateful for that.
What was your very first spotting memory?
My first spotting memory was when I was probably around 8 years old. Sometimes in the school holidays, I used to go with my dad to his work. So when he does shift work, so I would go hang around out in the back of his office when he was working, and a lot of the time I would go up to the old spotting deck, which I wish it was still there, at Auckland International Airport, because that was all accessible back then to everyone, people who weren't even flying that day. And so I would grab my McDonald's, head up there, and sit there for maybe an hour or so. And I just loved watching the planes, all the movements and everything. It was really, really fun to watch as a little kid.
If you could visit one airport in the world, which one would it be and why?
I would visit London Heathrow. I have been there many times, but I have never actually had a good amount of time to spend there and do spotting. The only chance I've ever had out of the many, many times I've been there is about 20 minutes when we're waiting for people to arrive off a flight. But it is one of my favourite airports because of the variety. I love the spotting locations, and it's overall just a great airport to be at. It's got a nice atmosphere, and that's why I love it.
When you first created your channel, did you think that it would grow so rapidly?
Absolutely not. My initial goal was 500 subscribers, but then it reached a point where my channel was just exponentially growing, and I thought this is great. And then before I knew it, I have 1 million views on my channel, which I only reached not so long ago, but it's crazy to me how I have reached 1 million views, total views on my channel, and especially the amount of subscribers I have, around 4,400 subscribers. It's awesome. It's mind blowing, but I'm grateful for it, and with all the people out there in the aviation industry who I have become friends with in that time, it's amazing.
We'd also just like to know, why did you create your channel?
I created my channel to share my aircraft models, share information, engage with other YouTubers and avgeeks alike, especially ones who were also model collectors. I was inspired by 777 Die Hard Forever, who's now a good friend of mine. He had shown me so much, or I should say still does, of course, show me so much support. And I guess without his support at that time, I would be nowhere where I am today. But it was really just about the interaction, and I had no set plan for what I was going to do, but I just thought I'd follow in his footsteps and make those type of videos, and yeah.
And on the whole channel topic, do you have any advice to smaller aviation YouTubers regarding how they could grow?
One of the best things you can do as a smaller aviation channel is to make the content you like, the content that you want to see, um, and put a bit of effort into it. But you want to be satisfied with the outcome, especially, and if you're satisfied, you like your work, then others will like it. That's probably the biggest pointer I can give to any smaller aviation YouTubers or those starting out. But also keep in mind, here's one of the bigger things that leads to disappointment is, don't go into it expecting anything. I Believe it or not, I went into YouTube not expecting anything. It was really just for fun. I didn't even think about the money side when I went into it. I didn't even know how to make money off YouTube. So I really just went into it just for the fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You've got to go in for the fun, enjoy it, and you'll reach a point where you could be making money. Obviously, once you start making money, you won't get that money straight away, for reasons that you'll find later on. But you know that's what I would recommend, is that you just make the content you would enjoy watching and make it in a way that gives you satisfaction.
And finally, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Is that creating YouTube videos, or working full time in the aviation force, or maybe something else?
In 10 years, I most likely see myself working full-time as an engineer. Currently, I am close to getting into the Air Force doing engineering. I have already completed some engineering stuff at Air New Zealand, which has given me a great pathway to where I am now. So that's realistically where I see myself. And yes, I would still be doing YouTube videos, unless of course I would slow down on YouTube or not do YouTube at all if there is another platform that is more readily available to people where I can put all my content up and still have you guys interact. Now, I would really love to have my channel grow so much that I will be able to be a kind of like a traveling reporter for aviation, and I'll go around, go to all the special events, just do spotting, just be throwing up videos from all over the world, aviation related, of course, and that would probably be my dream. Meeting all these aviation enthusiasts, pilots, engineers, everyone, and that's my ideal job in the future. But realistically, engineering is one of my dreams. I'm so into aeronautical engineering.
We'd just like to thank MiJiT HD for his time on the podcast. We really hope everything you heard in this interview is very valuable and you can take a lot from the interview. So we're going to finish off the podcast with, I believe, 5 new articles, all taken from airlive.net. This is kind of trending and brief news coming from around the world, not just Australia. Our first topic: United Airlines is accelerating the retirement of its Boeing 747 jumbos, saying its last flight of the Queen of the Skies will now come in 2017. Previously, United said the 747s would be phased out by the end of 2018. So I guess this is bad news for any 747 lovers, although we still have the 747-8 Intercontinental and Freighter version flying around. They're quickly disappearing from our skies. Luckily, we saw UPS order some 747-8s. So I do really hope that more cargo airlines will start ordering them, maybe FedEx or something, which will mean that we'll see the 747s flying in our skies for a good 25 years. Even if it's not at your local airport, you still might be able to travel to go and see one. Our next topic is coming out from London City Airport to be precise. They welcomed a record-breaking 4.5 million passengers in 2016, and they are about to start a £344 million development, expanding routes, investment in facilities, and the continued convenience of the only airport actually in London has led to this record-breaking year for them. Iran Air has taken delivery of its first new aircraft, an A321, in a handover ceremony in Toulouse. The delivery is the first from a firm order placed by Iran Air in December 2016 for 100 Airbus aircraft, 46 single-aisle and 54 wide-body jets to renew and expand its fleet. This one's a bit of a tongue twister, but JetBlue has finally made good on the promise to provide free Wi-Fi on every flight. The airline announced today, on the 12th of January this is, that every jet in its fleet is now equipped with JetBlue's Fly-Fi broadband, offering gate-to-gate high-speed internet you can use even before the flight reaches cruising altitude. Fly-Fi debuted in 2013, and JetBlue claims that you'll get speeds of up to 20 Mbps per device. This is better than most Australian internet providers, as we can sometimes get 0.8 for the most part. Even if speeds are slightly slower in practice, Fly-Fi promises to be leaps ahead of more expensive and slower options like the GoGo. And our final story for the podcast: Flight Emirates EK863 from Muscat was grounded after baggage handlers found the serpent in the cargo hold of a Boeing 777-300. So a snake was found in the cargo hold of an Emirates flight from Muscat to Dubai. So a spokesperson for the airline, quoted by Dubai-based media, said the snake was found before passengers boarded the plane. The aircraft was searched before re-entering service and arrived at its destination several hours later. This is a quote from the spokesperson. Emirates can confirm that flight EK863 from Muscat to Dubai on the 8th of January 2017 was cancelled due to a detection of a snake in the cargo hold prior to passengers boarding. Engineering and cleaning teams are working to clear the aircraft to re-enter service, and they apologise for the inconvenience it caused. That concludes the very first episode of Podcasting with DJ. I do very much hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to leave a like button. Tell me what you'd like to see in the next episode. If you would like to be a special guest on the podcast, please shoot me an email or leave a comment in the comment section of this video just expressing your interest. I will then look for a contact email or social media to chat with you on and organise the interview. Or if you'd like to tell your aviation story, how you got into it, you're more than welcome to, and that can be part of the show as well. So once again, thank you very much for the support, and to everyone that helped me organise this first episode. It is greatly appreciated, and hopefully I'll see you guys in episode 2.